Good afternoon, everyone. Grant Cohn, Jack Hammer here. I didn't put the names up, but I'm going to now. Now you know who we are. The 49ers just cut four people and placed Michael Kendricks on IR. It's not going to really change much for the team this year. But the news that I think is more interesting is what Steve Young said about Trey Lance. I love when 49ers greats insert themselves into the decision-making process. It's so good because, Kyle, what are you going to say? It's Steve Young. You're going to tell him to be quiet? No, you're just going to be like, thanks, Steve. I appreciate your perspective. Anyway, Jack, why don't you tell the people what Steve Young said?
Well, basically, what Young said was that he would go ahead and just go ahead and go with Trey Lance. If he and Jimmy Garoppolo are close, he would just go ahead and go with the younger guy because he's going to develop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I've been saying kind of throughout is if these guys are close, and you've heard me say this to you more than once, if guys are close, I don't understand why you don't just go ahead and go with Lance. You know you're going to have some ups and downs early on. That's clear. So why not just go ahead and run it and let's see, live with those and know that as the second half of the season comes around, he should be have those rough plays out of his system or most of them, and it should be, an upward trajectory.
Yeah, and I feel like there's people digging in on both sides on who's better and who should start. But I think everyone, if we're being honest, can agree that it's close.
Oh, it's definitely close.
And it's close in the sense that they won't. I mean, they not that they won't let. That's charged and loaded. I'm saying Lance hasn't really run yet for whatever reason, and it's still close.
Yeah, the passing of between the two has been very similar.
Yeah,
We saw that on Saturday or
the
Sunday night,
interceptions
right?
were mirror images of each other.
They were very similar to each
Yeah,
other, and so you can't really say, well, Lance needs to sit because he's inaccurate when Garoppolo's doing the same exact things and he's done it throughout his career, and that's something that I keep hearing, and I heard that even today on the radio. So that part of it doesn't make sense to me. And then when you take in the fact that Lance is going to give you more on the ground, even though Jim Garoppolo had a nice scramble on Sunday night for about 10 yards on that one, he's still not going to give you the athleticism that Lance gives you when they show everybody the full Trey Lance package.
it's gotta hurt Jimmy Garoppolo when Steve Young says the other guy should start. I know if I were Jimmy, I would be crushed. Steve, why? Oh, anyway, do you agree with Steve? You do.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the best route to go.
Do you think that the 49ers will take Steve Young's advice? Or not that they'll take his advice. Do you think they're thinking along the same lines here?
I don't. I don't think they are.
Yeah.
I think they're leaning towards Jimmy Garoppolo being the starter early on, and letting him run basically until he shows that he's not winning games for him. I just don't see. I see them utilizing Trey Lance at times in games, probably every game throughout the season, but not necessarily as a starter early on.
See, I think I kind of agree with you, even though I have a very nice bottle of wine riding on this with my dad. But I feel like the one thing that Steve Young isn't accounting for, and maybe we don't talk about enough, is just how many people on this team really like Jimmy Garoppolo and seem to want him to start. And maybe if you just bench Jimmy Garoppolo before the season even starts, that's not a popular move with a big part of the offense. Kittle, Juszczyk, McGlinchey, who I don't know, those three.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. I think there definitely is a piece of that. That's one of the reasons why throughout I kept saying they need to move on from Garoppolo before they get to the season.
To
Before
this,
they get, yeah, because
yeah,
that's where they are. They've got a good number of guys in that locker room that really believe in him. Until he just proves otherwise, that's gonna be an issue. Uh,
right. It's one thing to throw picks in camp. It's one thing to throw picks in preseason, but maybe these vets feel like you shouldn't lose your job until you really give it away in the regular season. And this guy still has a winning record.
Yeah, that's it. They believe in him. They've won a lot of games with him, and that's the hard part with Garoppolo is that you can see all of his warts, but for whatever reason, most of the time when he's in, he doesn't matter. He throws interception a game, but he's still winning all the time. That's the problem.
Yeah.
He's really frustrating because he has so many ups and downs, but he just continues to win.
Well,
And I
the
know those
problem
numbers
with
pick
with
up there.
Jimmy though is that I want to say his last 9 starts, he's 5-4 with a TD to INT ratio that's about 1-1, and that's a small sample, but it's carrying over to camp and preseason. And my concern, I think the Niners' concern, and why they're giving Trey Lance, why they've changed the narrative a little bit, and why they've given Trey Lance more reps now, is I think because they're really concerned about Jimmy. That even if they do start him week 1, he may bench himself rather quickly.
Yeah, the only thing with that is that they haven't really played him with the ones enough. I think we haven't seen him really go out there with the starters and really do well. That's the one thing
Yeah.
for me that kind of holds me back from saying that he definitely
Lance?
should start. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I'm with you with that. Yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't got enough reps with them, and when he has played with the ones, he hasn't shown well enough to really take the job away yet. All of he's played really well, but it's all been against the backups.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that Jimmy's sort of giving it away, and that Lance is like, I don't really know if I'm ready to take it right now. It's a very interesting position the Niners are in.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
But I mean, I think something should be settled on Sunday. I mean, ideally for the 49ers, one of these guys takes it. It's kind of like that part in the wrestling cage match where there's a ladder in the ring and the belt is on top, and just like someone needs to get up long enough and climb up the ladder and take it. But they're both kind of like woozy on the ground right now.
Every time somebody gets to the top, they like slip off, right?
Exactly. That's where they're at. Someone needs to go grab that belt. There's no one there. Anyway, Raymond Martinez Jr. What's up, Raymond? Says, don't forget Joe said it first. He's still ahead of Steve. Yeah. Steve and Joe have been on the Start the Rookie for a long time. Must be tough to beat Jimmy, man. I mean, it's not just that the head coach doesn't believe in you. It's Joe and Steve, too. God, go get him, buddy.
Yeah, hey, I like Raymond's comment. I keep telling everybody that Montana's the greatest, and Raymond, he just kind of said that again.
Absolutely. Ninerbot says Steve Young has never been fan of Jittery. I mean, God, Steve Young must look at Jimmy. I can't speak for Steve, but just think, boy, I was better than you. I could do more than you.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, because Garoppolo, he's just a funny guy with the way that he never really looks settled in the pocket. He never really throws with his legs. And, he's just always been the same guy.
Yeah, I have to say so. Niner by Nature 88 says, is Jimmy turning into 2019 Carson Wentz? I don't know. Carson Wentz lost a lot of confidence, but I also thought he looked really good in that game when he beat the Niners. I was so impressed. Anytime he got out of the pocket, I don't know. That's an interesting comparison. Let's ask this: who do you think is going to have a better career from here on out, Jimmy or Carson Wentz?
I'd say probably Carson Wentz. I think Carson Wentz is in a better situation in Indianapolis with the coaching staff there. I think he's going to continue on as a starter, whereas I think Garoppolo, once his time in San Francisco is done, is going to become mostly a backup around the league.
I agree with that. I mean, he may have stretches where he, is backing up a young guy who's blowing it and he gets to play, and maybe he played kind of the Ryan Fitzpatrick experience for his career. I think it's going to be a little bit of starting here, but he's going to bounce around the league, I think.
Yeah. One thing that struck me last night watching that Monday Night Football game is it really showed how bad the 49ers quarterback room has been for the last 3 years. When C.J. Beathard is the third-string quarterback for Jacksonville, and Nick Mullins is the third-string quarterback in Philadelphia.
Good point.
That just shows how bad that room really was.
Yeah, the Niners had essentially a backup quarterback starting and 2 third-stringers backing him up. Sorry, that's a little harsh, but that's what we're dealing with, I think.
Yes.
And that's honestly, that was the fear when the Niners traded for Jimmy, because that's what all the New England Patriot quarterbacks have become. I mean, not Tom Brady, but all the Tom Brady 2.0s have turned out this exact way. Matt Castle was another one.
Yeah. Well, Garoppolo had the most success out of them, but you're question. Right. They were all short. None of them really panned out after they
short-lived, and they kind of had the same fate. Anyway, good question. All right, let's move on. Does Trey Lance need to throw with more touch, in your opinion?
Yeah, and that's something that you asked. You asked a great question yesterday to Coach Shanahan about this, because that's something that I know your dad mentioned it, and it's something that I've seen. It showed up really, on Sunday with that interception for Sanu. That ball being out in front of him. He just throws with so much velocity that if the ball's not right on the guy, it makes it really hard to be able to catch it with their hands, especially if they have to reach out and extend or that kind of thing. He's got to really be fine with it in order for them to be able to hang on. That ball's just coming at him so hard, especially in that distance on that's a new one where he's only 12 yards, 14 yards away from him, right over the middle, and that thing's out here. Yeah, it's a lot tougher catch than it should have to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's very Kaepernick-esque in a sense. When I look at guys like Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, even Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, they all are guys who have very strong arms but can take velocity off easily. It's not even something that they seem to think about. That's a major part of their skill set. And I think it's one of the things that Shanahan mentioned about Stafford. Great arm, but he can take some off and he has touch. Haven't seen it consistently from Lance, and that's maybe one of the reasons that he didn't get picked as high as Wilson.
Yeah, and he did do it on Sunday night when he did that little bootleg out to his left and on the throw to James.
Love that.
That was probably one of his better balls of one of his 2 or 3 best throws of the game, because he just kind of gets out there and you can see that ball wasn't zipped into him, and it made a nice easy grab. I think when you go back and you watch like the play to Sanu, for example, and we saw the same thing the week before to Richie James, both throws over the middle. Watch his hands, because his hands start to separate. He has this. You talked about it in one of your videos where he's patting the ball, right? And so he has a tendency to separate his hands, and it's a little hitch motion. And so because he's looking at Sanu, he's ready to throw the ball early, and so that's why his hands come apart. Where if he just sits just a tick longer and then just releases and throws, he doesn't have to throw the ball nearly as hard as he did. I think he's overthrew that ball because he was late on the throw because it didn't come out when it needed to, and then he overthrows it and it's high and away, and unfortunately Sanu gets his hand on it.
I think it's fair to say that this could be the transition to the speed of the game. They talk about it's going to be a big difference. He's going from 1AA football, hasn't played in a year. I think he's sort of realizing what speed and tempo he needs to play at. And he's rushing it a little bit, or he's a little late and he needs to overcompensate. This is all kind of stuff that he should be able to fix with experience. He seems like the kind of guy. Now, a good quarterback coach could always help. I'm just saying, it seems like they have a good one in Buffalo with Ken Dorsey. Shout out the Bay Area kid. I don't know about Rich Gangarello. I'm not saying he's not a good one, but I don't know. But anyway, that's a separate issue. I think Trey Lance should be able to improve here.
Yeah, I think he can. I think part of it too is that it's settling into the flow of the game too. He hasn't played a lot, so he's getting into these games and he has a lot of adrenaline going through his body when he first gets onto the field, which is natural for him to maybe be overthrowing the ball a little bit early on, because he might not be trying to throw the ball hard, but just because he's got all that adrenaline going through him, he's a little bit stronger than he realizes. So that ball's coming out a little bit hotter than he wants.
Right. Now, I like to compare Lance to Carson Wentz, because they went to the same school and they were both Wentz was a number 2 pick, Lance was a number 3 pick. When Wentz came out, the reason he went number 2 and not number 1, a lot of people criticized him from the pocket, and they said Goff is the one who's more accurate, better footwork. Wentz is a mess, and film people, analytics people did not like Wentz. They would look at him and nitpick him very much. And then all of a sudden, what was clear his first 2 seasons before he got injured was he's good enough in the pocket, and he's a freaking playmaker outside the pocket. I think that's going to be Lance too. And what I like so much about Lance is, in addition to the outside the pocket stuff, the zone read is going to be killer. And I don't think you really could do that very much with Carson Wentz. It's going to be killer. Not as good as Jackson, but in a top tier of, I would imagine, Lance, Fields, Murray, Jackson on that zone read.
Yeah, I think when the 49ers start actually running that stuff on a regular basis, it's gonna open it up. You kind of saw it a little bit early on Saturday night when he first got in, where they ran a couple of them. It seemed like they ran the ball a lot better anyway, regardless of that portion of it. They just seemed to be getting a much better push from the offensive line. But that could have been part of it too, because he's in there and he's running, even though he's not actually pulling it out. I don't know. I wasn't there during the joint practices. I'm not sure if he had pulled any out while you were there, if they ran any of those zone reads and things like that during practice, where the Chargers defense might have been.
They did a couple, and they had they didn't have much success with it. And I remember George Kittle complained about it after practice. It was different. He's really complained about this whole transition to the Trey Lance offense, which I think is just chef's kiss. It's like, thank you for the content. But the most successful run they had in Costa Mesa was that quarterback draw. You saw that.
There you go.
Yeah.
I did.
That's also a good play. Good option for 3rd and 15 for him.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, that was a good discussion on Lance. Let's answer a few questions. Thomas says Jimmy wants that Robbie Gould life. He seems relieved to be off the hook from getting smashed again. Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it. Smiling all the time because $25 million with no risk. The Jimmy Garoppolo psychology is very interesting to me, and that's an interesting take. We'll never know, but that's an interesting take. Maybe there's something to that. I like the Robbie Gould life. When I fully understood what Robbie Gould exists, what he experiences on a day-to-day life, I was so impressed. I was like, wow, what a life this man has created for himself because of his right foot. Got to give him respect.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, just watch these guys at practice compared to a quarterback or anybody else on the field, and watch what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, great. He's like basically a golfer with his foot. You know what I'm saying? I play a contact sport, but really just have a pendulum attached to my hip, and I can do this for a long time. And it's made me a lot of money because Americans love football. I didn't make the rules, but I won. So congratulations to Robbie. But you got to hit the extra points. No one's feeling that. The new missed the extra points. That's not cool.
No, he's missed 2 of them now, right?
Yeah, stop. You should get that out of your system right now. Good question. All right. Scotty P says, Jimmy comes from New England, plays 4 good games, looks awesome. Then 2 to 3 years of SF, he gets worse. I feel it's probably due to the Niners QB coaches. You agree? Well, he can't. I mean, I feel like Scangarello got that job as an offensive coordinator in Denver, and the main feather in his cap was Jimmy. He got Jimmy up to speed in 5 weeks. Look what he did with Jimmy. And then it was like, maybe he wasn't ready. And then he got fired. I'm just saying, they can't exactly put him in their resume. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no, you're right in terms of what Scangarello did. He got him up to speed. They had a really good 2017. Then he looked good with what Nick Mullins was able to kind of accomplish in 2018. And then he goes off on his own and fails, and then he comes back and he's right back in the same position. Yeah. So it's hard to say that some of Garoppolo could have been fallen off in 19 and 20 because Scangarello wasn't here.
Yeah,
too. Who knows?
Possible. I mean, that's possible.
Some guys are good position coaches, but not good when you put them in authority positions.
I will say Scangarello was in Philly last year, and their quarterback situation wasn't great, but he was not the quarterback coach. He was some kind of assistant. I'm just saying, look at some of their other position coaches. Like, first of all, Kosterick is a superstar. Turner, superstar. Embry, superstar. And then you got Wes Welker, who is young, but has a lot of gravitas. Freaking Wes Welker played the position. Yep. And then you got not just Scangarello, but Day. I mean, these are guys who really didn't play the position. Maybe they played it in high school, maybe not. I'd be interesting, someone like Jeff Garcia. I've been saying it to you for 10 years. But, the one in Buffalo, Ken Dorsey, not surprised. Those backups who weren't really quite fringe backup starters, they really tend to understand. I bet you Nick Mullins would be a hell of a quarterback coach in 20 years after he's finished with his. Anyway, that's what I would do. I'm surprised that Kyle can't get better than that. So his dad had Kubiak, right?
Yeah, he did. Yes.
That's a hell of a coach. Come on, there's no one else. I don't know. Hell of a coach. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. 7NP says at the 318 mark of your video on the phone interview with Shanahan, he says, I'm trying to get him ready for when asked about, then stops mid-sentence. I think he gave it away on who's starting. If he had just not stopped and said something, I feel like he could have played it off. But the fact that he stopped himself confirms that he felt he was going to say something he shouldn't. We don't know what that is. We'll never know. But he felt he almost went too far. That is clear. Is it not?
Yeah. No, and it's funny because you on the audio it says I'm trying to get him ready for, and it stops. On the transcript it actually says that he's trying to get him ready for the season. So it's funny how it kind of gets filled in.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I guess he could play it off like, well, I already told you he was gonna. That's why I said he should have just kept talking. He already said he was gonna play this year, but the fact that he stopped, he's like, I can't say that.
Yes.
I love you, Kyle. You're so transparent. I love it. It's like the guy at the poker table who's like, oh God, I can't hate to see it. Killer Cam says, is the competition close when you take in Jimmy's contract? Trey needs to start, no need to wait. Jimmy's contract needs to get dumped. What moves could we make with that money? We're going to talk about, that's our next topic. Bear with us. Was one more question. That's our next topic. So we're going to get to that. Did you notice Jimmy Garoppolo did the same pump fake as Trey? Is this something being taught? I don't know. That's a good question. I'd like to get the quarterback coach on the stand and just grill him.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about. No, we're gonna get to Jimmy in a second. This is first. We got to stick with Trey Lance. We're sort of grading him on a curve right now. Like, hey, he's got one arm tied behind his back. They're not really letting him do his thing. They're trying to. We don't know. How do you interpret this situation?
Well, I think this one came up, and part of the reason why I bring this question up was because of the play when Lance escapes the pocket, runs to his left, and then he gets sacked because instead of just
Yeah.
taking off and running, he stops and he's looking to throw, and just Twitter just blows up with,
Right.
oh, Shanahan's telling him that he can't run. He's
Right.
telling him he can't run. And I don't think there's a coach that would ever tell their quarterback not to
Don't
run
run. Yeah.
because that you
Maybe in
can't run.
practice, but not in a game.
Yeah, not in
Yeah.
a game. I mean, even really in practice. I mean, we've been there enough where we've seen Lance take off and run. You know,
The first
in
3 days
practice.
he didn't cross the line of scrimmage, and then after that it was anything goes. So I could see it in a practice, but when there's hits on the line, when it's the difference between protecting yourself and not. I couldn't imagine. And then he did later on in the game, so maybe it was more a Lance trying to prove something. Hey, look what I can look. I know I can run. I know you think I can't do this. Well, let me show you.
Yeah, I think what it is Lance, when you watch him on film at North Dakota State, he would move around and he would slide along the line of scrimmage, or he'd move around, but he was always kept his eyes down the field. Running was always his last resort. So I think what's happening is that the game is a little bit faster here, and he just had to get hit and kind of
Sure.
get yelled at and get chewed out, so that the next time he was in that situation, his
Yeah.
clock is running faster. I think that's really what it took.
It's all
Because
about
he,
the speed of the game, like you're
yeah,
saying. And also, I don't think he was under a lot of pressure at North Dakota State. He was on the best team in 1AA football. They were winning a lot. He was chilling in the pocket a lot of the time.
yeah, not as
Yeah.
he had more time to kind of float around than he
Yeah.
does now for sure. And
Yeah.
I
And you
don't,
see,
yeah,
like Fields a much more appropriate internal clock. He's not waiting too long in the. Although that one time he just didn't see it. He got lit up. But most of the time he's getting out quick. Whereas with Lance, I'm sitting there like, come on, get out of the pocket. I want to see something fun. Come on, what are you
Yeah.
waiting for? This is all the best stuff, and you're just throwing slants way too hard.
yeah. Well, because what's funny about Lance is you see him and everybody thinks of him as a super athletic guy that's just going to run all over the field, but that's not him.
His
I mean,
mentality, yeah.
it's not his mentality. It's not really the way that he plays quarterback on passing downs. He's super athletic and he's going to make great plays when you kind of tell him that that's what the play is.
Yeah.
But he wants to throw the ball as long. And
But what
he's
I'm
gonna
trying to
hold on.
tell him, if you're watching Trey, is like, I know you didn't have to play that way at
Get
North
out.
Dakota State. You're going to need to play that way here. But, I mean, watch how Mahomes plays. All the best quarterbacks find ways to get outside the pocket because that's a good thing. And that's where you can excel from day one. The pocket's going to be years for you. Like by the time you're 29, you might be great in the pocket. But until then, it's going to take 10,000 hours and 10,000 reps. This you can be great at day one. Embrace it. It's preseason and you get your reps, do your thing. I understand.
Well, on Sunday, I know on the first game what we were talked a lot about the fact that they weren't rolling him out and stuff like that. I think they only bootlegged him once on
That
Sunday
is true.
night.
To the left.
You know,
Same
yeah,
thing.
that one
I get
time.
it.
So
And he didn't
they
get hit that much. He was protected. That's cool. A lot of quick throws.
Yeah, they did a much better job in pass protection in week 2 than
No
they
doubt.
did the
Yeah.
first week. But yeah,
And that's Chris Jones.
I just don't think they were telling him not to run. They weren't setting him up with opportunities to run either, if that makes sense.
I just like, I guess, that in the second quarter and the third quarter, it seemed like the experience, he was learning and improving and he's starting to figure out like, okay, now I go. And on the 2-point conversion, I would have liked to see him go quicker, but he got it. He got out there, he scored. It got called back because of a hold on the backside of the play. That was a really good sign that I think he can actually learn this, and the fact that, I mean, he doesn't really have any instincts on the football field right now. He's none. But I think he'll get there. I think he can. I think he's taking positive steps.
Yeah, we saw his whole night changed after he got that sack, after he took
Yeah.
that sack instead of running.
Yeah.
From that point on, he only threw 2 incompletions, and one was a drop on a screen. That was actually lucky that they dropped it. So he played really good after that point.
Gizmo Maltese says, remember Lance versus Fields debate? Yeah, it was a very interesting debate. Fields is proving he's more agile, faster 40 time, and throws a better ball. Hope things change. Would you agree with those 3 statements?
No.
I do think he's more agile. I
Yeah,
think
I know he is more agile. He has more
Yes.
he has more quick twitch in terms of
Yes.
that.
Yes.
I don't think that he throws a better ball. I don't think he has a faster 40 time.
Yeah, I think Lance. Yeah, I don't think you understand how fast Lance is. When he gets to the 40-yard mark, he's moving. He's getting about like 21 miles an hour, which is really freaking fast.
They just haven't seen him run yet.
That's true. That's true. I will say though, with Fields, I've been impressed that he can. I think he does throw with some touch. I think he's pretty accurate. I like his arm. Throws a better ball. He may right now. Right now, he may. But with the one thing that's nice about Trey is bigger, stronger, stronger arm. I mean, he's a little different, but I think he can be just as effective or more. I think his ceiling is still higher.
Yeah, you're going all Ross Dwelly right there. Bigger, stronger, faster.
Bigger, stronger. Yeah, it helps in football. He's the Ross Dwelly of quarterbacks, which is the highest praise you can give anyone.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Happy B-Day to me, Mike Hawk.
There
Happy
you
B-Day,
go.
Mike. That's a first. I like that, though. That was hella creative. Okay, that's it. Let's go to the next one. All right, Jimmy. Let's say Trey Lance. But here's been my plan pretty much the whole time is pull the rug out from Jimmy Garoppolo right at the end of training, right before the season starts, right before his contract becomes guaranteed, and say, you lost. Trey starting week 1. We gave you every opportunity. You just didn't do anything with it. We're starting Trey. You understand. Steve Young told us to do it. Who are we to disagree with Steve? So we're not paying you $27 million. We would like to offer you a very fair pay cut of, seven. Okay, give you $10 million or something with some bonuses if you play. Do you think that's unrealistic?
I don't know why Garoppolo would take that deal. There's no reason for him to take that deal. He holds all the cards on this thing. Once that whole line of thinking, and I was with you, kind of had to hinge on the fact that Josh Rosen was going to.
We could cut you, right? Of course, and now they can't play that card. He could just laugh in their faces. Oh, you're going to cut me because Nate Sudfeld looked so good the other day.
Yes, because Nate Sudfeld is such a good backup quarterback and proved himself so well.
We don't need to talk about Nate Sudfeld, or maybe we can later. But damn. Anyway, I see what you're saying. So since Rosen flopped or didn't work out, they have to pay Jimmy Garoppolo $27 million. Hey, that's too bad. Hey, it's not my problem. That's not my problem. Yeah.
It's not our problem. And the other thing about it too is what would you do with that money at this point? Because most of the guys that we talked about when we were saying get them to take a pay cut or whatever, they're not on the table anymore. Yeah. So those are the guys
that go the first week of training camp or right before training camp. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it would kind of, I guess, put them in a position to make a big trade at the deadline, but they don't have first round picks. So I guess it would be more most likely rolling over for next year, which is great for next year, but the whole reason was to free up cap space to make yourself a more viable Super Bowl contender this year, which can't really happen. So I guess you just have to adjust your expectations this year and think of it as kind of a transition year. They can't even figure out who their quarterback is, and if they win a playoff game with either quarterback, it's good, although it's better if it's Lance. Although it's good either way. That's basically the expectation.
No, you're right. If this team goes out and wins a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, that's going to be really rough. And next year we'll be having the same conversation again.
It'll be good for business, but it'll be bad. It'll be interesting for the 49ers. I mean, anytime you get that ring is good, so I won't put it that way. I guess I'd like to see some chaos. Why not?
Yeah. No, it'd be great for business. We'd have all kinds of stories to write about.
I hope this quarterback controversy lasts forever. It's the best thing ever. But we're going to talk about this stuff, I promise. Pluffy Phil says if Lance wins the starting job, just cut Jimmy. The cap savings are too good and no one will trade for him without money. The problem is that, let's look at it this way. If Kyle were in his first year, like if Robert Saleh were the head coach, I'd be like, dude, you got to cut Jimmy. You don't need this. But it's year 5. I'm not saying anyone's going to get fired, but you don't want to tempt fate. You don't want to have a prolonged Nate Sudfeld experience, possibly lose all those games, and then see what Jed York's going to do. If my job were on the line, I wouldn't even put it. I think this is job security. That's, to me, why Jimmy's here. It's like, look, we're on near the hot seat because we've had third-string quarterbacks be backups. So let's just have, an expensive backup for 1 year and get to the playoffs and get everyone off our back. And then we'll worry about that next year. I think that's possibly what's happening.
Yeah, I think you're right. They've talked all off season about needing to have a better quarterback, backup quarterback and so on and so forth. It's either going to be Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not going to be else. It would be interesting.
Get fired because Nate Sudfeld couldn't win. Like, that would hurt.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. And they should have. It's really too bad that they didn't keep Nick Mullins. I understand the whole issue with Nick Mullins, but Nick Mullins is better than Nate Sudfeld.
Agree. So is Beathard. And I never even liked Beathard, but Beathard's having a good preseason. I don't understand. Scangarello. what this was your contribution to the team, Nate Sudfeld. And Rosen got picked up by the Falcons. I mean, dude, no one wants Nate Sudfeld. I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope the night that Kyle Shanahan doesn't look back to his tenure at the Niners and feel like it all fell apart because he had some third string guys, some non-NFL quarterbacks on the team. Like, I don't know. I hope that's not the undoing of you, dude. It shouldn't be.
Right, that it ends up being the whole quarterback situation never getting right or being able to get him up to speed.
Because look at Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh may not be as big of a coaching talent as Kyle Shanahan, but he looks like he's got the quarterback right away, and he may do a lot of winning. I wouldn't expect him to have a winning season this year, but he could have a very long, successful tenure just because he got the quarterback right. And it's easier said than done. But I don't know. Maybe he hasn't gotten it right. He just looks good so far.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out. They have a lot of injuries and stuff like that, so we'll see how it works out.
A lot of rookies, too. Vince says, if they do get a good trade for Jimmy, would you trade a 7th for Nick Foles just to have a viable backup? See, the people who like Jimmy are the people, well, he took us to a Super Bowl. Well, Nick Foles freaking won a Super Bowl, so why not?
Nick Foles is the guy who seems to, everywhere he goes, he just kind of kills the quarterback room. That's the only thing with him.
That's true. Him against Trey Lance will be him against Carson Wentz all over again.
Exactly.
Yeah, all of a sudden, because I like Nick Foles. He doesn't throw too hard. He throws a very catchable ball. He throws a deep ball with trajectory and arc. He's just hurt all the time.
Yeah, the guy that they should have got was
Trubisky.
Mitchell Trubisky.
We tried to tell him.
Yeah, and it was only $2 million that he signed for. That's just outrageous.
Hey, Ken Dorsey's doing a hell of a job over there. Ken Dorsey, the value. We never talk about position coaches on this show, but I really think they're the unsung heroes of football teams. They make a huge difference. You can have all the great ideas as a coordinator, but someone has to teach the techniques and get these players to improve. And Kosar can do it. Turner can do it. Freaking Embry can do it. But yeah, it's important. It's important. And the Niners have some good ones.
Yeah, and the other thing about going back to the whole Trubisky thing, is the Bills have two quarterbacks in their quarterback room that are very similar. The 49ers have one quarterback that plays one style and two quarterbacks that play a completely different style.
Yeah, but they wanted Trey Lance all along, Jack. All along. I'm sure Kyle is eating his liver watching Mac Jones. You're like, man, I should have just put my foot down.
I just keep sitting back and eating popcorn and watching him play because he plays a lot better. Hey, that shows you what one bad picture can do to you.
No doubt. And the 100 mil video. But no, he looks way better than Jimmy. Nothing against Jimmy, but he looks like the best pure pocket quarterback to come into the league in a while. Because I don't see him getting out of the pocket, but he definitely seems like he knows how to keep himself alive and to move the chains from in the pocket. So that's cool to see. It's a lost art. He's a throwback.
Yeah, so far he is. Yeah. So far he's looked really good. We'll see what happens.
Because Kyle Trask may get it down one day, but he ain't looking good so far. I mean, that's going to take him a minute. But that's what most pocket quarterbacks look like early on. Mac's been impressive. Good system for him, though. Yeah,
it's a good system for him, and he's in a great spot because the starting quarterback isn't in practice for the whole week, so he gets to play with the ones almost all week.
You think Mac Jones will start week 1?
With Cam Newton not practicing almost all this week because of that whole COVID testing thing, he might have a shot at starting this week, and if he goes out there and blows it out, I don't know why they wouldn't.
I think all 5 quarterbacks should start week 1, but I'm new school that way. Spider Niner says, do you still wish we had Rosen now? Yes. No. I just feel like the Niners never really gave Rosen a chance. They made him split reps with Sudfeld, and they gave Sudfeld the guaranteed money, and Sudfeld didn't care that he didn't get that many reps. They just basically, I don't think anyone likes Rosen. Maybe the Falcons will, but they never really gave him a chance, I think. So it was good that he left. Yeah. I'm not a Rosen apologist. I just feel like if he has anything, it wasn't going to come out here.
Yeah, he didn't show a whole lot either.
No. The thing with Rosen is he would get like three throws a day and one would get picked. It's like, can you please stop doing that? Just don't do it. As long as you stop doing that, you have a chance. But no. Here comes a pick. I don't know, man. As a coach, couldn't you just be like, I'm fining you $10K. Every pick.
Go
Couldn't
run
they
a
say
lap.
that to Jimmy too? Like every time you get picked by a linebacker is $25K.
Sure.
Or is that
yeah.
not not
Well,
allowed?
I don't think they can technically do that. And maybe in their like kangaroo court they can do
Yeah.
that though.
Maybe $25. Okay.
There you go. There you go.
Official BNA Music 88 says if Nate gets Kyle fired, he'll be 2 for 2. Peterson.
Back to back
That
years.
is true, man. I wouldn't want. Whew, that is a coach get killer. Mike says, remember when you were fanboying over Kyle Trask? Still am. You think I would give up? So I'm still waiting on David Fales to make his move. David Fales. Don't lose. He's about 31, 32. That's just about the age Jeff Garcia. Well, we'll see.
I just saw that guy at a football camp like a month ago.
David Fales?
Yeah.
Nice.
He was working at a camp like for kids with Jeff Garcia.
Nice. San Jose State's finest right there. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Jeremy says, Jack, did you see Jimmy run Sunday? Shades. Deal with it.
Look at those
dope.
wheels. He had some wheels out there.
The most confident he looked, although he got out of that pocket real fast. It looked like that pocket was on fire. He was like, woo! That was nice. But the problem is the other plays, I felt like he was a little, like his feet were a little hot, like he was walking across the coals.
Yes, yeah, he has pitter patter with those feet, and no, but that run was nice because that was fast as we've seen him run in a couple of years.
It's possible. Was someone earlier saying that you can kind of explain the Jimmy Garoppolo psyche if you just think about the dude's had some serious injuries. He doesn't want another one. That's fair. I mean, I wouldn't want. I think who was it saying that? Colin Cowherd. Just like injuries can kind of cause you to lose a little confidence. Maybe deep down inside he feels, I really am not very good at protecting myself on an NFL field. I'm not that fast. I'm not that big. I'm not that durable.
Yeah, that's what drove Andrew Luck out of the game, right? Was the injuries.
Yep, fair enough. And he's right about that age, so. But yeah, good run. Definitely a good run. I don't know how I turn every Garoppolo topic into something. I'm sorry, Jimmy. Soon it'll be Trey Lance's turn. Just kidding, Trey. Mostly. Heather says Jimmy's market may increase if there's an injury on another team. True. Trade midseason like we did. Otherwise, we have to stick with Jimmy.
Yeah.
But again, Sudfeld, you can't. No, if they trade Jimmy, they have to get a quarterback in return. They have to get like Tyrod Taylor or something in return. And I'd be cool with that because Trey Lance's backup really should be someone who can do all the stuff. Some of the stuff Trey Lance can do.
Yeah, if they can get him if they can get a second round pick and maybe a quarterback, middle of the road quarterback, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think the Bills would say if the Niners called them up and be like, all right, we'll give you Jimmy for Trubisky straight up? They'd be like,
yeah, no.
Sorry, who's this?
Yeah, new number. Who dis?
Who dis? Exactly. Jeremy, what's up, Jeremy? Pocket was on fire. Love you, Grant. Happy feet. Yeah, man, he was. They were. Yeah, it looked like he was hot. Keneal says, since you both have seen it in practice, if Trey got to run the Lance offense in these first two games, would this even be a competition anymore? Hard to say. Hard to say.
In the
mind, Lance is so theoretical. He needs to go prove it. Go take it, Lance.
And that's really what it is. He just hasn't gone out and really just blown it out like he needs to, like Russell Wilson did when he went up there as a rookie.
Yep.
But I think if they were running the full Lance offense, he's gonna fans would be all over it because there's some pretty exciting stuff in there.
Yeah. Anyway, I just kind of look at this as Jimmy Garoppolo is like down for the count on the mat. The ref is trying to lift his hand and the hand's just going right back down, and Trey's like slowly getting to the ladder, but he hasn't even like climbed one rung yet. So come on, you got no resistance, no one's in the way. It's just you and the ladder, baby. It's you. He's got
his hand his hands on that first rung, getting ready to pull.
Yeah, he's making it real dramatic, basically, carrying this out to the very end of preseason. Fair enough. Fair enough. He's got a flair for the dramatic. Thomas says, should the Niners go after KJ Wright? I think they're good at linebacker. KJ's good though.
Yeah, if he's available, they might as well go after him because they brought in Kendricks for a reason.
True, he's on IR now.
I don't think they're really happy with that spot.
Good point. Hey, maybe if they get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, they can get KJ Wright $20 million.
There you go.
KJ Wright wants a lot of money, right? He's like adamant that he's a top level player and should be paid that way. So I don't know if you're going to get him for like a cheap prove it deal. He might rather sit out the season, and I don't know. But if the Niners have a bunch of money to spend all of a sudden because someone Agrees to a pay cut. Hit up KJ Wright. He's a great player. Hell of a player.
Yeah.
Good idea. Okay. What's up with Gould and those misses? I don't know. I should ask him. Hey, Robbie, why are you missing field goals? Who told you to do that? Not me.
Why are you missing extra points? Come on.
What's
now.
up with that?
Uh-huh.
Robbie, first question. What's up with that? Follow up. What's up with that?
No, seriously. What's up with
Seriously. No, seriously. What's up with that? Yeah, I don't know. If do you get the all 22 of of special teams, and would you be qualified to analyze it? Because
that?
there's
No,
only three things, right? There's the snap, there's the hold, there's the kick. One of those three things got to be off.
Yeah, no, I don't have the all 22 right now, so I'm out there like everybody else trying to find somebody to please pod. Let me please just let me see it. Yes.
Do you know a guy who knows a guy? Well, Tabor Pepper's supposed to be the greatest long snapper of all time. Who is the holder this year? It's not Lance, is it?
No, it's
Oh, no.
still
Is it
still
Mitch?
Wisnowski.
Mitch.
Yeah.
I'm blaming Mitch.
Yeah.
When in doubt, blame Mitch.
He's not getting the leases right.
Come on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He's trying to end his career.
Yeah, he's the Dan Marino of this team. He's making Robbie Gould look like Ray Finkel.
Yeah.
Ray Finkel.
Exactly.
But I don't think Robbie Gould's going to end up like Ray Finkel. He's got too much money. Finkel had to move back with his parents. We don't need to talk about Finkel. That was a fictional character. All right, moving on. Okay, enough quarterback. We're 41 minutes in. It's time to stop talking about quarterbacks. Which rookies are showing the most improvement so far?
And we're going to stay off of Trey Lance on this one since we're no
Yeah.
no quarterbacks.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, I thought Jalen Moore showed a lot of improvement from week 1 to week 2. He struggled a little bit at the beginning of the week in practice, but he looked really good in the game for the most part on Sunday. He had one bad run block that he completely whiffed on a down block, but other than that, he seemed like he was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I would go with him. I think Diamondre Lenore has really
fifth rounders.
Yeah, the fifth rounders have really shown, right? Because even Hufanga has played really well too. I think he might even be getting himself into a spot where he can be making a run at the starting strong safety job.
Seems like Hufanga and Lenore, if they're not starting week 1, could be starting next year week 1 or by the end of the season. Both of them.
Yeah. It's
Lenore's
definitely
got
there.
a little bit of Jason Verrett to him, just a little. So it's feisty.
Yeah, he's really good. He's
Yeah.
all over the place on. He's a really good man cover guy, and he holds up better in zone too. So than the other rookie Thomas. So he's doing really well.
Yeah.
Those are my three.
Yeah, I mean, Sermon didn't play, Mitchell didn't play, Banks didn't play. Real quick, did you feel like Lance showed improvement from game 1 to game 2?
The Lance showed improvement from game 1 to 2.
Do you feel he did?
Yes. When you watch, the part of my issue with him with week 1 was he looked off when you watch him on all 22. When you watch
the whole timing of it, right?
Yeah. The few plays that I've seen of the all 22 this time, it's
like the first time he'd ever played football.
Yeah, he looked a lot better. He looked a lot better in terms of that. The numbers aren't a lot different, but in terms of the completions and drops and those kind of things.
True,
but
yeah.
I think
kind of the
better.
same. I thought that touchdown pass to Benjamin was sweet.
Yeah, that was a really nice ball looking off the linebacker and then hitting right over the middle. That was really nice.
Yeah, it was a perfect location. It wasn't a super big window. It was a nice play.
Yeah, even the slot fade that he hit to Sherfield was a nice ball because there was a tight window there because of the safety come over the top,
right?
And he didn't throw it out too far in front. He kind of hit the hole a little bit.
I thought he let it go pretty early, which was nice to see too.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. He hit his back foot and he let that ball go.
Yeah.
Very similar to one of the plays we broke down during our breakdowns of him.
What's interesting about him is he's had almost nothing but success playing football. He was undefeated in college. He might have been undefeated in high school. He's not used to, missing a lot of throws or looking like he's not good. So it's interesting for him to be like, this is weird. I'm a little out of my depth. How do I respond? And it seems like he's still confident. He's not like, oh my God, I suck. No, you don't. You're a top 99% athlete. You're just very inexperienced and everything's new to you. But I think he's still, it's a good experience. He looks confident.
Yeah, he was struggling there, and he brought himself out. The other thing too with Lance was that he did that touchdown drive at the end of the first half. Part of the reason that was so nice is because that's one of the weaknesses in his game has been in the situational. He hasn't been throwing in a lot of that tight end of half situations in college, probably not in high school either. So to lead the offense down the field and score, for a touchdown like that was a big step forward for him, I think.
I like how we managed to not talk about quarterbacks for 2 minutes. That was good. Those were good 2 minutes, and we went right back to the quarterback. No, but I like it was. I want to talk about Trey Lance's development because it's the most important thing, and he didn't make strides everywhere. I think he still needs to really show that he's not going to throw these slants like this every time, and I think he will. But that's one thing that He says the right things. Like, of course, I don't need. I can't. I know I shouldn't throw those balls that fast. Okay, you know it. That's great. Now show it. Show that you can do what you know. That's all. That's it. And it may not be the first time, but that's all I'm looking for. Because if he can't, that's gonna look. If he can't develop some touch, I'm not giving him a second contract. You could have a lot of success with him on that first contract, but no, absolutely not.
Yeah, and I think he will. I have faith that it.
I think
just
so.
give, and that's what Shanahan talked about yesterday. That's why he was saying you got to give him the reps. You got to get him used to the games. It's the speed. It's all this everything that plays into it.
Absolutely. All right. Do you think JaMychal Hasty will make this roster?
This is an interesting one because I think right now I would say yes. I think he's going to be the fourth back. I don't foresee Elijah Mitchell making the roster. On the 53. I think he ends up on the practice squad.
Practice squad or IR?
Yes, one of those two.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not practice squad because they'd have to release him first to get him there. So sure. IR.
Probably IR. They did that with Joe Williams and Tim Harris Jr. Kind of like the redshirt year a little bit. I don't know what you'd call it. But yeah, I think he has. George Kittle compared him to Jeff Wilson Jr. I mean, they're a little different, but they're similar in the sense that they're undrafted free agents who are good running backs. I don't know if they're great, but they're pretty good. And I think I think he would really pair well with Lance in the zone read. The kind of guy who can be very effective from the gun because you have to do a lot of stopping and starting with those angles as opposed to the deep I formation where you're just kind of running around the edge like Mostert. He's a good fit for it.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's looked really good. The only thing with the first week was the fumble, but he didn't have that issue this week, so definitely clean that up. And he's seems to be a little bit bigger and more physical this year. So far, I would say he's definitely would be the guy I would see as running back 4. Because even before Mitchell went down, it seemed like Hasty was getting the reps ahead of him.
Agree, and I want to say that while he is running back 4, it'll be interesting to see what happens when Jeff Wilson Jr. comes back eventually. Wayne Gallman is running back 3. He's earned it. He looks really good. He runs really hard. He's good between the tackles. What do you think of Wayne Gallman?
I like him too. He's kind of, again, I like what he brings. You saw him set this week was kind of set up perfect for him because he's a guy that needs to run the ball more, and he got 15 carries. So the more you give him carries, the better he gets. And he looked strong on Sunday. Made some really nice runs. I think one of the biggest plays of the game was on the, I think it was I remember which touchdown drive it was, but they had a holding call, so it became 1st and 20, and they gave him the ball in a draw, and he gained 7 yards, I think it was. Mm-hmm. That was a huge play because that set up the play action throw to James, which set up the rest of the drive. But it really put him back in a second manageable situation.
Yeah. Real quick before we change the subject, I see this comment. It just kills me. Papa Watson says Lance will play sporadically and in certain packages. He will not start week 1. Accept that fact already. People are dug in because they want to be right. I think that's more what it is. Not like they die in to see Jimmy week 1, but they want to be right. But I wonder, are there these kind of debates and fights on other fan bases? Like last year with the Chargers, were there Charger fans being like, look, Tyrod's going to start week 1, all right? Accept it. Okay. And then when Tyrod got the start, were there people like celebrating? Like, yeah, we need to wait on Justin Herbert. It just seems like an odd thing to root for, but I kind of get it, I guess, a little bit. I guess.
Yeah.
Were there a segment of the Browns fans that were really juiced when Tyrod Taylor started week 1 and not Baker Mayfield? Like, yeah, you're going to need a little time, Rook. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a tough one. But it's also it's an interesting social dynamic. I don't know. People like Jimmy. He's been here a while. It's hard. Change is new. Change is tough.
Uh-huh.
All that stuff. Plus, Trey doesn't look 100% ready yet, so there is that.
Yeah.
Heather Taylor says, if the Bengals cut Billy Price, we should give him a try as offensive guard depth. Former first rounder might be worth a shot. What do you think, Billy Price?
Yeah, if they can bring him in on a cheap deal, bring him on. Because I don't think they don't have give him if he's willing to take the same money that they were going to be given to Michael Kendricks, sure, bring him on board, let him fight for a spot.
Yeah, I think they're really like, one injury away from having to play Tom Compton or Colton McKivitz, something like that. And I don't really know if there's much of a difference besides the fact that McKivitz is 68 and Compton's 66. So, yeah, Billy Price, come on down. Anyone who wants to play Mikey Potty? Should they be? Probably not. I don't think so.
McKivitz is better than Compton. Come on.
I would hope so. Sorry, I didn't. Sorry, Colton. I mean, that's really, really mean to compare. That was low. That was low. Ben says, Jimmy Garoppolo take pay cut or restructure contract as QB2. No, Jack has a great point. Rosen was the only leverage there. They would have had to go to Garoppolo and Don Yee's agent and be like, look, we're good with Sudfeld and Rosen. We really like Rosen. Rosen stepped up. So if you want to stick around as a backup, you got to do it for cheap. But they can't do that. They can't do that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way that they would. There's no reason for Garoppolo to do that at all.
Yeah, they missed the window to actually spend that money on something this year. You just got to adjust your expectations accordingly. Hey, maybe the Niners could make history in a lot of ways this year. If they win this year, maybe the first doing a lot of stuff with a rookie quarterback or with an expensive quarterback or a quarterback who lost the first time. I mean, Elway did.
There's a lot of things against
first.
Yeah.
Was Jimmy fully confident on that ACL in 20? No.
I don't think so.
No. Was he great in 2019? No. He was good against New Orleans, though. That game against New Orleans really made his reputation with a lot of fans. I mean, they put up like 40-something points.
Yeah.
So he did that.
Yeah. He had that game, and then he had the game against, he had the big comeback against the Rams.
That was big. He didn't play super great in that. He threw 2 picks in that game, but they won. He was clutch.
Yeah.
Super clutch.
Yeah, and then up in Seattle was kind of the same thing, right? It's just a lot of the Jimmy Gimmies, and
he made a great tackle at the goal line at that game. I thought, wait, that was Dre Greenlaw. No, but there was something else that Jimmy did in that game that was good. But yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry. I can't help myself.
No, you're right, because a lot of people pointed to that game, and he statistically he played well, but when you go back and you really watch that game, it wasn't like he was really doing a whole lot. It was a lot of his yards came from tossing the ball forward to Deebo Samuel on that end around that he took for a touchdown.
And I think that's kind of the problem, not to keep talking about quarterbacks. I think that's kind of the problem with like the Jimmy offense is it's a little played out. Like they showed it in 2019. There's only so much more you can do. There's only so many more ways you can scheme up explosive plays with jet sweeps and shovel passes and screens. I mean, I think Kyle's pretty much taken that to its limit. And it's no knock on Kyle. It's just there's a limit to the stuff you can do when you're not throwing more than 5 yards, 10, 15 yards downfield. And now you're going to see a much more voluminous, I like that word. It's a silly word. Offense. Okay, last topic. Mm-hmm. Who do you think will be the 49ers' sixth receiver? And I think we agree that the top 5 will be Ayuk, Samuel, Sanu, Sherfield, Jennings?
Yeah, that seems like it's for sure the top 5. That's who I would say.
Okay.
I think the guy that I if they're going to go with a 6, I don't see how they don't go with this guy is Simba Walker. I think he needs to be. That's his name, right? Walker. Simba Walker.
Simba Webster.
Webster. I keep saying Walker.
I made that mistake. Yes.
Yeah, Webster's the guy. He's a better kick returner than Richie. I really don't understand what Richie James Jr. is doing on this team.
Yeah, I think they have to cut Richie James Jr. I mean, I think he's almost asking them to cut him. How many passes does he have to drop before the Niners give him his wish? No, I think that's another guy who really, I don't feel has improved much. I thought some of his best plays were 3 years ago.
Yeah, well, he played last year. He played well last year too. But River Craycraft was the other option.
He had more juice on his returns 3 years ago, and now it's almost like he's not even running full speed anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, 2019 he did pretty good. Then last year they sat him down and tried to use McKinnon and that didn't work out, and they bring him back this year. And he looks like McKinnon this year.
That's exactly what yes. So I think they got to cut him. I think there's another week, and it's not over yet. But I think the person who's now in the lead for the 6th spot is Travis Benjamin.
Okay, well that brings up the question: who's the kickoff returner? If you don't have Webster,
Travis Benjamin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have we seen him return kickoffs yet?
I mean, yes, I want
I
to
don't know.
say. I'm not sure that he's good at it, but
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, look, I think it should be Webster too, but it seems like they keep throwing or calling passes for Benjamin. He's a better receiver, so
Mhm.
maybe they'll just let Brandon Ayuk return all the. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is there. It just doesn't seem like they're really taking Webster seriously. They don't give him that much playing time.
Yeah, that's
Maybe they
that's
should.
that's that's the only thing though is who's going to return kickoffs
Yeah,
if he's not on there. Uh,
it's not
you know,
gonna be Craycraft.
the
He's
other
out.
thing too, the other thing too is if they only have two quarterbacks, that's going to open up another roster spot somewhere for another player. So maybe you go with if
Seven
Webster's
wide
not going
receivers.
to, if Weber's, yeah, you can go with seven wide receivers, or Webster's not a guy that you want to keep. You go with, you bring back, you keep Jordan Matthews, you know, I know he's a tight end, but he can still play that inside slot type of a position, and he seems to be a guy that he looks really smooth when he runs those routes.
It's a good point.
That's why, you know.
That's a good
So
point. Yeah. Well, we don't know who the sixth wide receiver is. I think right now that Benjamin has at least put himself ahead of James, and I mean Hurd needs to play against the Raiders. I don't see how he makes his team if he doesn't play against the Raiders. And even if he does, how can you trust him? Like he
yeah,
plays only when it's like you're about to cut him. He's okay. I'll play. But not again for another month. I wouldn't want to play like that. But he's an enigma.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, no, that's rough. He didn't. He had that really good practice, and then right before the Chiefs game, then he's been gone.
Yeah. So
Oof.
Benjamin Webster, do you want to go with the vet who is a pretty, I mean, he's had some success in the league as a receiver. You saw that touchdown catch. It's a nice catch. Or the younger guy who's freaking electric, more of a gadget player and special teams guy. Tough one. It's a tough one. I guess they
Yeah,
have one more week to see.
yeah, because the only other place would be to pull one from a running back, but I don't see Hasty being a guy that would be returning kicks. So yeah, that's the
Yeah.
question: is who's going to return kickoffs? I don't think they want to do that with Brandon Ayuk.
Ugh, as long as it's not Richie James Jr. Don't they gotta cut Richie? I'm sorry, it's nothing personal, but I don't think he deserves a place in this team.
Yeah, I don't either. He's dropping way too many balls.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's quite into it. Maybe he wants
No.
a fresh start somewhere else. Anyway,
Yep.
that's our
Well,
show for
what
today.
they did
What?
have Kevin White. Didn't you see how good Kevin White performed last night for New
No, what
Orleans?
happened?
Oh, yeah, the folks in New Orleans were ready to run
Oh
him out
no,
of the
did he drop the
stadium
ball?
twice. Hit him right in the hands, like right here, twice.
Yikes! Oh, who was he making look bad? Taysom Hill?
No, the third stringer out there, number 15. I don't know who he was.
Oh,
Can't
number
remember.
15. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Anyway, well, that's. Are you going to be there tomorrow?
I will be there tomorrow.
Well, we will both be at practice tomorrow. I see. I will get this question. Niners have 3 more open practices. Training camp is not over. It's the best offseason of all time. The NFL changed the rules and forced every team to stay open through the 3rd week of preseason. That's a new one. Love it. Thank you, NFL. You should do this all the time. How did it take you this long to figure this out? Anyway, okay. At the buzzer, a couple people got some questions in, and then we'll go. Ben says, will you have a 49ers home game meet and greet? It would be great to have the community together for a game, pandemic allowing. It's a good idea. But I don't think the game is we get there early. We work the whole time. We're there late. I think maybe another time, maybe a bye week meet and greet, something like that would be cool. Let me think about it.
Yeah.
But now that's tough to do it the day of the game. You know, it might
It
be
is.
nice to have a beer with you guys, and we can't do that there. Double B Studio says, keep up the great work. I'll pop headphones on and go through all your content during work. Thank you. I'm sure your boss is super pleased. Question: do we, other reporters compare notes, or is it a free-for-all? It's generally a free-for-all, but Jack and I compare notes. We watch practice together. It depends on what your relationship is with the other. But absolutely, I think a lot of times you see little gaggles of reporters, like little crews watching it together. I understand, just to make sure you didn't invent something, miss something.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's little crews. I
Who
gotta say, it's
dropped
nice
that?
having
Who
Jack
caught that?
there. It's nice having Jack there because I trust him. Sometimes I'm not naming names. No, these guys are all very good at their jobs, but sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Yeah.
agree. So
Yeah.
when Jack sees something, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
yeah,
Both of us
it
be
is
able
very good.
to share stuff back and forth.
Yes. All right, guys. That's that's the end of the show, the end of the streaming for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Another day of a Niners quarterback competition. See you then, Jack.
All right. Yeah. See you.